When we started discussing the theory of infinite sets, we asked two fundamental questions. The number of computational problems. The other question was number of inputs to the computational problem. These two are fundamental questions as far as algorithms is concerned, as far as computer science is concerned. Let's try answering these two as part of this discussion. Let's look at the simplest problem, say search. So the input is a comma x. Question is does x belong to a or not? Now it's an integer array of size say n. If you look at a consists of a1, a2, so on up to an. Let's assume n is fixed, meaning it is something like 10 or 20 or 100 and so on. Suppose n is fixed, say n is say 10. Now you ask how many different, let's assume integer array, how many different integer arrays of size 10 are possible. So how many different arrays are possible? That's the question we are interested in. So formally, if you see, you have a1, a2, so on up to a10. Now each ai belongs to set of integers, which means the first input could be like 5, -5, 10, 0, 1, maybe up to say 9, something like this. And it could be anything, -5, 6, 7 and so on. Second input could be maybe 2, 2, 4, 9 up to say -5. So like this. So if you carefully observe this comes from I, second element comes from I, so on up to 10th element, which means each input is basically an element in this cross product. So how many times you do this? 10 times. So each input, say I belongs to this cross product. Correct? So now what is the cardinality of this? Can we count? And is there a mapping to n? That's the question that we are interested in. If such a mapping exists, then we have answered this question. It is for sure it's infinite. We are interested in knowing, is it countably infinite or not? Remember, countably infinite sets that so far we have established are n, I and n cross n. Now on the similar line, just like the way we did n cross n, you can use similar argument to show that I cross I is countably infinite. Now here is a claim. We claim that I cross I three times is countably infinite. What we do is similar to what we did for n cross n or I cross I. I is countably infinite, so you can list the elements. A1, A2, A3. I cross I is countably infinite. So you can list these elements. So B1, B2, B3 and so on. Now this will tell you A1 comma B1, A2 comma B2, this entry is A3 comma B3. So like this you get. Then this entry is A1 comma B2, then A2 comma B2, like this you get. Then you get A1 comma B3, A2 comma B3, like this you get. Fine. Please note each BI is a pair. Each BI is a pair. So something like this. BI could be something like 5 comma 10, or BI could be minus 5 comma 6. And so which means this one is actually a triplet. So if you look at AI comma BI, you see that A1 comma B1 is something like 5 comma 4 comma minus 1, or it could be 0 comma 0 comma 0, or it could be 0 comma 5 comma 9. So like this it will be there, because each element in I cross I is a triplet like this. So this precisely gives you the entire list in I cross I. Now can we establish a mapping to N? The actual listing will be like this. This will be 0 comma 0 comma 0. This will be 0 comma 0 comma 1. Like this it goes. Then this may be 0 comma 0 comma 1, like this. Now what we will do is very similar to what we did before. We start from here, then we map this to the first natural number, the second natural number, then we go up third natural number, then take right. So like this, if we do the listing, then you see that there is a mapping from I cross I to N. So this gives you a mapping from I cross I to N. Or there exists a bijection between these two. This implies that I cross this is countably infinite. Now one can take this idea forward. On one side you have I cross I, on the other side I. With that you are able to conclude this. Now what I will do is the following. On this side I will have I. On this side I will have I cross I. Now what will these entries be? They will contain I cross I. Now again you can give a mapping from this to N. Therefore this becomes countably infinite. Now this idea you can take it forward as long as N is fixed. N is 10, 100, 20, 50. And now you see that I cross I, say n times, where n is fixed integer, then such a set as, such a cross product or the underlying set is countably infinite. So number of inputs to a computational problem, in other words, if the cardinality of A is say k, then number of inputs is precisely say I cross I k times. Correct? and if k is fixed, then it is countably infinite. So one question we have answered. How many different inputs are there to this problem? And the size of the array is fixed. It could be, say, k. Now, if it is an integer array, then you are only asking for what is the cardinality of I cross I cross I k times. We know that I cross I is countably infinite, I is countably infinite. With these two, we bring in this snake tail argument, a mapping to n, which shows that I cross I taken 3 times is countably infinite. This can be taken forward. On one side, a countably infinite set, which is this. On the other side, I. Then what are these? You get to see all elements of I cross I taken 4 times. Now this approach you can take it forward for I cross I 5 times, I cross I 6 times, and so on up to I cross I k times. And if k is fixed, it becomes countably infinite. So we have answered that number of inputs to a computational problem is countably infinite. So a related question is the following. What if I perform this, say, not fixed number of times, say n times, natural number, which means k is a variable. So k is not fixed. If k is fixed, it's something like 10, 100, 20, and we know that it's countably infinite. Now I'm saying k is a variable, and it could be any integer from any positive integer from the set I, and or rather you perform natural number of times, or you say k is a variable. So k can take any value. And so if that being the case, which means you may even do infinite number of times. When you say k fixed, you will only do finitely many. That number could be anything, but you only do this finitely many, finite number of times. But when you say k is a variable, you may even do infinite number of times, and it could be, even the natural number. So now if that being the case, what is the cardinality? What is the cardinality of this cross product? If you perform I cross I, say n times, or I cross I, say I times, then what is the cardinality of this? So you may ask, are there computational problems where we pass an infinite array as an input? The answer is no. As far as computer programs are concerned, we only pass a finite array. Finite array, it could be any size, which is why we looked at the first question. But out of mathematical curiosity, suppose k is a variable, what happens to the size? How many different inputs are possible? That's all. You may not find a program which is taking an infinite array as an input and subsequently giving you, an answer in finite time. Such a thing is not possible. But out of mathematical curiosity, we ask this: suppose k is a variable, what happens to the cardinality? Is it still countably infinite, or does it become uncountable? Okay. So now the question is, if we perform this, now number of inputs, is it countably infinite or uncountable? So you may note this. You are performing I cross I say so many times. Now you may get a finite vector, you may get an infinite vector, all are possible, right? And so like this you start listing the elements. Now all that we want to know is this. But if we continue the argument we did for I cross I cross I, we can only continue this argument if we are going to do this, say k times where k is fixed. But if this argument is going to be done infinite number of times, then this argument will not work. If you are doing it for finitely many, then after say k steps, you see that there is a mapping, you stop your argument and establish a bijection to n. But if this argument is going to continue for infinite number of times, then we may not be able to establish a bijection because it's infinite number of times. You don't even know when you will stop, correct? So that's the point. If you say you are going to stop at this point in time, then it becomes fixed. And we don't know. It's being done for infinitely many times. If that being the case, we won't be able to establish a mapping to n. Therefore, we cannot conclude it is countably infinite. In fact, we will show that if k is a variable, it is uncountable. We will establish this. If k is fixed, it is countably infinite. When k is a variable, then number of inputs to a computational problem is uncountable in nature. So now we shall answer this question and also how many different computational problems are there. With this you see an interesting connection between the computer science and the theory of infinite sets, and it makes sense to study theory of infinite sets as two fundamental problems that we come across in computer science are infinite in nature, and in particular it is some are countably infinite and the rest are uncountable. So to understand this, that number of inputs is so much, and now the fundamental question is, when you know number of inputs to a problem is countably infinite, how do we guarantee that software testing or you say that algorithm works for all inputs, my algorithm is indeed true for all inputs, how do we claim such a thing when you know number of inputs is countably infinite? So naturally, as a tester, you may not be able to, software tester, you may not be able to test all inputs because it is infinite in nature. Then how are we claiming the proof of correctness? And how are we saying our software products are foolproof and it works fine for all inputs? How do we guarantee that it passes through quality assurance team? How do we guarantee that it passes through all tests and the product will work under any circumstances? It will not fail for any input, and it has been thoroughly tested for all inputs. And so you should look at these questions and the theory that you have learned so far, and you have to see. And so when you know that the number of inputs is countably infinite, how do we guarantee that the so and so product works fine for all inputs? And again, the math plays a role. The proof of correctness, we identify invariants, through that we prove. So we do not list all inputs and test drive the algorithm or the underlying C or C++ program to say that program indeed works for all inputs or algorithm is indeed true for all inputs. It is again math, the proof of correctness, that plays a role in proving or in establishing the quality of the product and so on. Okay, and such an interesting field, let's explore some more.